All right, Tess. All right, we can hear myself. I can hear myself. All right. I don't think I even need them right now. Well, I will. I'll leave them. All right. We finally made it, folks, to the fourth cornerstone of a lifestyle program. And it is stress management. Stress is number one thing that people don't know how to deal with. It's how you deal with stress. You can handle a diet pretty easy if you get a little bit of knowledge in you. You can handle an attitude if you hang around the right people, and you can get a good positive attitude. I can teach you the fitness stuff, all I need to know, but it's the stress that is in our lives that is really something that most people don't have an idea how it affects them and what they can do about it. So we put this little program together to help you that. And it's, again, this cornerstone is just a brief little step into the puddle, so that we're going to get you some basic knowledge so that you know how you can go forward and increase your knowledge in how to do this. Show you some of the tools that can be used to handle the stresses that they come up. We're going to start. I put this nice picture in here. What is this picture? When you see this picture, what does it do you? What does it tell you in your brain?
Puts me in vacation mode.
Right, relax, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to if you had a picture of a busy city street, so boom, relax. Visually, we are visual people more than we think. So if you look at visually calming things more in your life, you're going to automatically get into a calmer state. Just a matter of just using your eyes. So I threw that in there. I want to be down that road. It's out in Utah. I'm going to be going there in the next couple of years, driving down that road.
And climbing up the...
Climbing up mountains,
Stone.
not those pillars. Those you're not allowed. Okay. So stress management, again, at its core, it's meant to give you some tools to identify and manage stress more efficiently with less trauma to you today and to you in the future. Because not all stresses are dealt with once. Some stresses are dealt with day after day after day, year after year after year. I gave you the scope page, which is going to come up next, I believe, if I got it right. So this is basically what this was gleaned from my longer program, but I felt it's worthwhile to show you all of this information. So what is it focus that we learn in this module? Learning what stress is and how it affects you. And again, it affects everybody a little bit different. Learn from the good stress, survive the bad stress. Big difference. Who and what gives you stress? We all have them. We'll get to them. What triggers your stress response? And that's all different with most people. And then some managing stress, some tricks and tools. And the final is preventing unnecessary stress. If we can prevent it, we don't got to deal with it. So learning and getting some tools in place, learning about yourself, how you handle stress, so you can prevent unnecessary stress in the future. So we're going to give you some information how to identify what type of stress level you're in. There's 3 different levels that you can go to. You can go boom into 1, 2, or 3. Replacing your stress response patterns. We all have that response to a stressor, whatever it may be, and we're trying to change your normal pattern, creating a new habit, which will create a new response for you. And we'll offer some tools, tricks, and hacks for reducing, minimizing stress. We got different tools to do. The Managing Stress Blueprint, which is here, the Managing Stress Worksheet, and good information. We're going to go over that shortly on how these things can help you deal with stressors in your life and stress in your body. So part 1, this is what is stress and how does it affect you. These are the first 2 parts of the cornerstone. There's no way to understand how you manage stress until you understand what it is and how it affects you so you can do with it. The second part, the next class, would be how do we manage the stress in a little more detail, and then how do we prevent unnecessary stress. So between these 2, you get a good foundation on identifying stress, how you respond to it, how you're going to then manage it once you know you're under stress, and then how can we prevent that from coming back again. The least amount of times we have to go in the same stress loop, the same stress pattern, better off we're going to be, healthier we're going to be. So I say, what is stress? our body's response to biological stimulus, which can come from either body or the mind. Now that's a whole bunch of words, right? What does that mean? Comes to a biological stimulus. You could have ate something really bad and caused stress in your life. That's just the little stressors. It could be something big stressors in your life. Like you got in a car accident, you rolled your car over on the roof and back. That's a big stressor, even regarding the injury. Just the fact of going through that, it's a huge stressor. So that is a physical response that affects your body. But there's all kinds of ways you can get stressors. But that's it, it's how your body responds to it, whatever it may be. Could be a bee sting, could be something a lot worse. It's all going to be a form of stress and how our body reacts and manages it. Not all stress is bad. We do need some good stress to allow ourselves to adapt and build resilience to the acute physiological and psychological stressors that occur daily. Again, whole bunch of words. What does it really mean? Find a good stress, and you know what some good stress is, and you'll see one just particular one I talk about that is a good kind of stress. Stress only becomes chronic. It's really bad when it becomes chronic and grows. It becomes problematic and can overwhelm our lives once it keeps going. Each time you go through that stress loop and it gets worse and worse, before you know it, you're overwhelmed. You don't know what to do. You're frozen. You know, it happens. I've been there myself. Stress can be caused by loss of a job. Major stress, all of a sudden, boom, your whole life changed. Could be a loss of somebody in your family, or it could be from a bunch of small stressors that hit you all at the same time. You know, you get a flat tire, you know, the TV's not working, your favorite show's on, you know, all these little stressors. Somebody said something to you a couple days ago and it's stuck in the crawl of your brain and it's just still bothering you. These all are things, are smaller things that accumulate up. And as they accumulate up, they affect your biology. And once they affect your biology, they affect your life. Good work review. You go to work, you go see the boss, hey, you're doing a great job, we're giving you a raise. Woo, that's good stress, right? You went there, you were under stress, you got a good response, so you're a good stress. So that's a form of good stress. And the way you handle that, and you want more and more of that kind of stress, you know, family member maybe is having a child and you're all stressed out, they go to the hospital, boom, baby comes out all healthy, relieving, relaxing stress. But you learn how to adapt from these stresses the more you go through them. So it's not that you should avoid all stress. You should avoid the bad stress, but try to get more of the good stress in your lives. Bad stress causes distress, which can overwhelm your mental software, stop you in your track. Think of it, like I said, bills. Big bill comes up. Your health or your family partner could cause some huge stress. Mentioned the people in Twinsburg, a good friend of mine worked at the firehouse, 44 years old, had a heart attack, quintuplet bypass. He was perfectly healthy 2 years ago. He had a 0 score on his calcium. How did he get sick in 2 years, post-COVID? To the point where his was so blocked up, he had 98% blockage in his widowmaker. All the other ones are in their 80%, and they found a little one in the back that they had to bypass. Super amount of stress in his life. He's going through family issues, puts a lot of stress. Really hard job in the fire service, puts a lot of stress on you. Nothing can be more detrimental to your health than repetitive bouts of serious amounts of stress. We did all kinds of tests. Doctors that follow stress in the fire service, for example, found out as firemen went into say a house fire, even a simple little house fire, not a lot of, we'd pull up on something, we'd know when we got ourselves something to deal with, and we know that, just a stove fire, we can handle it, yawn, go back to work. So these kind of things can really build up. When that happens and you hit one of those major stressors, we're going into a really bad situation, your blood thickens like goo. And you have you can't control it. That's your body's response to stress. Your heart rate goes up. Your breathing increases tremendously. It really messes up with your blood chemistry. Your sugar elevations go super high, even if you don't have a lot. Your body's being flooded with hormones to help you get through that stress. And then it leaves your blood in this quagmire of mess. And how do you deal with that? It's that repetitive. And we'd go in for a fire, come out, have to change that air bottle on our back, go back in again. So our heart rate went up, blood got gooey, sticky, come out a little bit, come down, we come back in, it goes up higher and higher. By the third, fourth bottle, guys are really in bad shape, and yet they feel great. They feel high, they put the fire out, they knocked it down, they go back to the fire station, their blood is thick as goo, they go take a nap, and they don't wake up. It happens time and time again because of how the blood chemistry is affected by stress. Now that is physical stress that affects his body. You know, mental stress can do the same thing. It's really something that we don't really pay attention to that much, and we don't know how to deal with it, but it's so important. How does it affect you? You must first understand the signs and symptoms of stress. Again, we talked about it. And chronic stress can lead to declining health, and some symptoms may include your ability to concentrate. You're all frazzled. You can't really concentrate on what you need to do next. Your immune system gets decreased tremendously. Now you're susceptible picking up the flus, the colds, the COVIDs, whatever it may be. Your immune system is what fights that off, and it allows us to fight it off. Too much stress continued really affects that. Increased cardiovascular disease. My buddy is a perfect example. A lot of stress. Cardiovascular disease magnifies and increases rapidly under those situations if you're left too long. And your overall health risks. When your blood chemistry is messed up, your immune system is down, you're more susceptible to picking up any other kind of illness that your body is maybe predisposed to based on genetics. So keeping that immune system is high is so important. Keeping your stress under control is one of the major things. Disturbed digestion and gut health. Again, one of the most important things in nutrition. The side effect of good nutrition is good, healthy gut. When your gut is healthy and you're processing foods good, life is good. You all know when it ain't going good down there. You're having problems. You're under a stress. So that can really make a big difference. Your blood sugar is compromised. Your ability to maintain balanced level of sugar is that much harder. You may have a craving for something you shouldn't eat that's really maybe high glycemic index because you're under stress. Go to that, whatever it is, and guess what? Now your sugar's high. So type 2 diabetes becomes even worse if you're getting up and your blood sugar is going up and up and up, and you haven't been going for your annual physical, getting all the blood work, and keeping track of what your blood sugar is. You could find yourself in type 2 diabetes, and before you know it, you could be insulin dependent later on in life. And once you're insulin dependent, it's hard to get off, especially when you're older in life. And when you're on insulin, a lot of things metabolically change in your body, but it's there, it has to keep your sugar in line. So it's really hard. And the last, increased chronic inflammation in the body, like I said. Aches and pains don't go away. You're sore all the time. You may have a bad shoulder, but you're under so much stress, it's inflamed. So how is it going to react? How is it going to improve if you're carrying that much stress around with you? So once you identify that you're under stress, then you can apply some management strategies before it gets to that overwhelmed state. There are the 3 stages of internal stress. Think about it when we go through these. When you can identify them, you'll be able to manage them. Stage 1, the alarm stage. Houston, we have a problem. Just think about what those astronauts did when they were in space in Apollo 12, 11, whatever it was, and all of a sudden a hole got blown in the side of their ship. Houston, we have a problem. They're lucky. They didn't have heart attacks right there and then on the spot. That's a tremendous amount of stress to throw at your hearts. You go immediately from relaxed to a full acute stress response, and your symptoms may vary. You may get out of breath, can't catch your breath. Your blood pressure may go through the roof, which is going to put you susceptible for strokes right there and then on the spot. So that's and again, there's other responses, sweats, you can't concentrate. People see their visions being closed in when you're under that kind of an acute stress response. You think about people who, maybe they found out they lost somebody in their family, and they just give out. They go down. It happens. You see it a lot in the fire service. When we go into a house and somebody come in and maybe it's a bad outcome, and watch people just, pass out. So boom, it can happen. You can hit your head. It could be a lot worse. So, but the symptoms vary. And everybody needs to know what your symptoms are for stress, and we'll get to that. Stage 2, the adaptive resistance stage. Houston, we have alarm bells ringing everywhere. What do we do now? Panic mode sets in. After that initial response, you're now in, what do I do? I don't know what to do. How am I getting out of stress? How am I going to pay that bill? How am I going to get healthy? What do I got to do? Whatever it is, unless you're prepared for that and have knowledge that these things happen to you, you can't set yourself, okay, I know what I have to do next. Boom, I go do this. I bring that stress level down really quick before it gets really high. So that is your adaptive, and you could go right from, and as more you're able to handle response that would originally send you to step 1, you may only go to step 2 when that major thing goes, because your body's able to handle it more. You're physically healthier. Your mind is attuned to that, okay, this is a serious stress thing. I know what to do. So I lower that level. The anxiety level gets decreased tremendously. Stage 3, the exhausting stage. Can't sleep. Nothing makes sense. Your battery's depleted. You can't function. You're burned out. Serious long-term, even the low stress levels, after time takes its toll. And you can't then function. You can't get out of it. Even if you know what to do, you've been in stress so long. Your body is so fatigued. You're so burned out. You can't really, your brain is just all not able to handle the stress. So you're burned out. So that's the 3rd stage. You may say, I'm kind of like that all the time. I'm stressed out all the time, right? I'm tired. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do anything. Guess what, folks? You're in the exhaustive stage of stress and you don't even know it. And so you have to recognize where you're at. Normal people, I'm not normal people, we're all normal people, but normally people are happy. They're not stressed out. They feel good. They have a good positive attitude. Their mindset's good. So that's a healthy thing. You're not under much stress when you feel like that. You may just get back from vacation. You're all relaxed. Yeah, I'm good, right? You may be this way, and you may be under constant stress all the time and don't even realize, unless you're checking your vitals, your blood pressure may be elevated for an extended period of time. Your heart rate may be elevated and stays up there because your body's dealing with, even subconsciously in your brain, it's dealing with the stress you're under. So these things take its toll. So you got to be able to recognize what stage of response of stress you may go right into when a stressor happens. So how do we currently manage stress? Again, we must learn how to manage it before we can reduce or eliminate it. How do then you manage stress? Say, driving down the road, somebody rear-ends your car, you find out they don't have insurance. It's happened to me more than once or twice in my life. That's a stressful situation. I was on my motorcycle, I got cut off and ran right into a car. My helmet went up and smashed through the windshield of a car. That's stress, How did I handle it? Not very well. I was younger, didn't really know how to handle stress. It wasn't until I became a fireman and dealt with stress at a higher level, I became more used to that. I had been in accidents. Unfortunately, people like to run into my cars. Later in life, and it was no problem. We'll get it fixed. Give me your information. We'll call. We'll take care of it. I was able to handle it better. And you learn how to do that. So you got to learn how to manage before you reduce it. And we all have different ways to manage stress. And that's going to get us to, the goal is to prevent a stressor from starting an acute response. That's it. If you're able to do that, because we're all going to have stress in our life, but you're able to manage it so, boom, you don't go to that quick acute stress response from day one. You're way ahead of the game. And that's where we need to start, is to do just that. How should we manage stress? This is a simple key. This is the way you write it down if it's not on there. Identify your sources of stress. How do we do that? Some self-discovery, just like we did in Module 1 in the foundation. Learn about yourself. Find out what your stressors are. We're going to go through journaling, and review your stressors worksheet, which is coming up. So these are some of the tools we can use to manage the stress, how we deal with it. Get out your stressors worksheet, that's there. Now this is a simple tool that I created through some other smart people's input to figure out how to manage stress. And I wrote some things on here. This is a worksheet. It's like a journal. You could take a piece of paper and write things down. I wrote the first two in just as an example. Worrying if you're going to have enough money to pay next month's mortgage or rent. Big deal when you're younger. Worrying about next month's pay. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. What's going to happen? Maybe not so much when you're older, but you never know. Worrying if your old clunker car is going to break down because you may not have money to fix it. Could be major stressor, and you could fill in some others that may be major stressors or chronic stressors. Who goes to the dentist and enjoys their trip to the dentist? That's historically a chronic stressor for most people. Because what do? They cause pain, right? They drill in your teeth. Unfortunately, sometimes it has to happen. So you get all anxious, and it's a chronic stressor. Luckily, you don't have to go too often. I go twice a year, and I'm good because I go twice a year. I'm able to handle it, but it could be dealing with that relative of yours, that causes that little trouble under your skin. They just know what to say at the wrong time to really cause stress in your life. It could be the cousin, the far off relative, or it could be somebody in your immediate family that you're just having trouble with, dealing with whatever it is. Been there, I'm there as well. And how we handle it could keep us in that constant stress. Those are chronic stressors. So those are the things we got to identify what they are. So you take the worksheet and you write some stressors down. What are chronic stressors? Find 5 stressors, because I guarantee we got more than that. But if you can find 5 that are worst stressors that give you the most grief, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Then you go, what level of stress would you say these stressors give you? 1, to not much comfort. You always find the money for these types of stressful situations. 2, maybe it's a little uncomfortable. Your hours just got reduced at work. Maybe you were just laid off briefly. You're pretty stressed out. Might keep you up at night worrying too much. Or really stressed out. You're sweating, your heart rate. You can't fall asleep. Boom, chronic stress, stage 3. Right? We're burned out. And in complete panic mode, maybe afraid to tell your spouse right away. These are high levels of stress. We'd more rather be a 1 than a 5. So we want to create a situation where our ability to handle these stressors brings them all to number 1, not much discomfort. That would be ideal. Again, how do we manage this? How do we manage it? One of the best tools out there is learning how to reframe your relationship with stress. And what does that mean? Reframe your response to the stressors. Simple way to do that is what's called the RAIN principle. It's a pretty simple tool. I use it myself. Just think of that acronym RAIN. First, recognize your feelings for what they are. They're just feelings. Something happens. You're upset. Think about it before you do anything. All right, it's just a car. I can fix it. I'll get a new one. It's nothing to get that stressed out about. Don't let it overwhelm you. Allow and accept them no matter the pain they are or the joy you bring. It's just feelings. Think about it. That's whatever stress is in there, you have feelings, strong feelings towards the reason why it's stress. Investigate why you're feeling that. Why do you have that apprehension? Why do you have that high level of stress, or high level of feelings towards that particular stressor? And nurture yourself, remove judgment, and be okay with it. If you look back and say, yeah, it's my car. I can fix it, I can replace it. I'm not going to let it distress me too much. I'll get it taken care of. It's okay. It happens to everybody. People think, I'm always accident prone. People run into my car a lot. Maybe it's my driving. I don't know. But don't be too judgmental on yourself, because that in itself causes stress in your life and causes a lot of worry. So a simple acronym to help manage any kind of stressor that hits is think of that acronym RAIN. Recognize it, allow and accept it, investigate why you're feeling that way, and nurture yourself from remove judgment and be okay with it. If you just take those 4 little quick steps, your level is going to go from acute down to 2 really quick. You're not going to be that bothered. So that's a good thing. So that's just a simple tool that we can use for stress management. And there's a lot of ways to do each and every one of these. You can find out one method to recognize your feelings is different than another method and acceptable to you. And there's tons of information out there. You go to the library, go to the health section, and look at that line of books. There's a zillion and one options out there. The more you learn about stress, the better. And I'm going to give you a perfect good example, an option for you to do that. How do we manage stress? Again, this is the whole goal. This is step one. Identify your regular stressors and identify how you regularly handle these situations. Is it with ease? Is it with some comfort? Or do you manage it poorly with trauma and a lot of discomfort? So you start yourself a journal, start yourself a pad of paper, write down those 5 stressors to start with and figure out how do I handle that? Do I always handle it easy, or is it sometimes easy, sometimes hard? Or do I handle it poorly all the time? If you're handling it poorly all the time, guess what? That should be a big star there. We're going to have to handle that one quick because it's keeping our stress levels high for a chronic period of time because we're not able to handle it. Implement tools to help manage stress. Reframing techniques. Just like the RAIN system helps you reframe, there's other ways to help you reframe. And I could have read the alarm stage. Here's a perfect example. And I'm going to send you notes. A copy of this is the text from my more in-depth program, but I think it's really good to be able to read. And it talks about, in that alarm stage, that acute alarm. Your sympathetic nervous system goes on offense and triggers your adrenal glands to secrete hormones such as cortisol and epinephrine, which is adrenaline. These hormones send signals to the rest of your body to prepare you with emergency fuel and energy. The higher you interpret the stress, the more these hormones are secreted. Many physiological changes occur in the body, such as elevated heart rate, blood pressure, respirations, increasing sweating. Those are the main ones. So this information is really going to help you out to really understand what's going on. It has the RAIN system in there. It's going to talk about the RAIN system. So you're reframing your response by going through that RAIN. Instead of going right to the high level acute stress, you're trying to reframe it and say, it was just a car accident. It's not that big. I'm not going to deal with that high. I'm going to reframe it. It's a simple, everyday occurrence in many people's lives. Don't get too elevated stress on it. So now when those kind of things happen, and you sit back, you think, you listen to those things in your head, the things that you're saying to yourself. Why am I having these feelings? It's okay to have these feelings. They're just feelings. How can I reduce those feelings in the future and find out why they're so bad for you? Important, simple tools for reframing any kind of stressor. Meditation, massage, acupuncture, etc. All ways to calm yourself. Talked about it in attitude a little bit, in mindset. Having that self-care day in the week where you take care of yourself and you allow yourself some extra time to de-stress, to manage your stress. Take some meditation. Learn how to meditate. Commune podcast, which I'm going to show you up here, is a great way to find some really good ways to meditate. Getting a massage. Anybody had a good deep muscle tissue massage? Boy, they hurt, but boy, do you feel good when you're done. Acupuncture. Had that done. When I had some chronic back issues, I said, let's try some acupuncture to block those nerve responses. Had some help with me, but it didn't, so I moved on. I went to yoga, started taking yoga classes to help stretch out my back. That's why I'm such a big advocate of those kind of exercises, is to really keep your limber, keep you strong. I highly recommend starting a grateful log. Daily write down two different things in your life that you're grateful for. If you do this in the morning, at night, boom, you automatically improves your mood. You wake up, I'm grateful for my grandkids, I'm grateful for this, the house I live in, but whatever it is. Put that in your mind, calms the mind, relaxes you. It gets you in a better frame of mind, which reduces that stress before you even get out of bed. So I do that kind of thing in the morning after I hit the feet in the ground. I say, today's been an awesome day. I think about, how I'm grateful about for that day, and really helps to keep you motivated, keep your stress level down, keep you moving forward. Can't say this well long enough. Prioritize your sleep. Create good sleep habits, routines, and rituals. And reduce or eliminate factors that disrupt your sleep. Folks, we need X amount of sleep a night. It's a little different for most people, but not many people can survive without too much stress if they don't get 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I know as you get older, a lot of people have a hard time getting 6 to 8 hours, at least uninterrupted sleep. It's hard to do, but it's not something you can't manage. And there's ways to manage it under sleep. I've got plenty of information on sleep, how to fall asleep, how to stay asleep, how to make sleeping a good part of your life, not something you dread. People dread to go to sleep. I have a sister-in-law, and before she just lost her husband, she was one that never went to bed till 4 or 5 in the morning. She was up all night long. She couldn't sleep. She's worried, this, and that. She'd crash about 5, 6 in the morning, sleep till noon. That's no way to go through life. I mean, unless you really like being that way. But she couldn't relax her mind. It's going like crazy. And I try to tell her, give her books. Why don't you try this? Learn how to do 5 minutes of meditation every day. You know, build upon that. All these different things that help calm your mind, let you sleep better. And if we keep that regular sleep cycle and you go to bed around the same time, I don't use alarm clocks. I don't have to use alarm. I wake up every day at 5 o'clock. I've been doing it for 40 years. I wake up every day. If I go to bed at 3 o'clock, I'm still waking up at 5 o'clock. My internal clock knows when to wake me up. I get up 5 o'clock.
My cat has an internal clock.
Yeah,
I get a cat scan every morning.
Yeah.
Quarter to 6.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Doop, 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 doop.
Yeah, and if I'm 5 minutes late, my dog's at the door, and I hear his nuzzle just against the door, you know, with his nose, you know, or his feet on the ground. All right, time to get up, because she's used to me getting up. I'm up at 5 a.m. So she gets up. Then she goes out, and she goes back to sleep. I don't. Dang it. They don't have any stress in their life. We feed them. We take care of them. That's a life to live. And reduce or eliminate factors that disrupt your sleep. Bright lights, we all heard this, too much noise. Some people use white noise generating machines because too quiet's nothing they're used to. You know, I used to live on a busy street. Buses went by all night long. You know, how am I ever going to go to sleep? Took about 3 weeks. Never heard them again. They're going by at the same time every 20 minutes. Buses are going by. I never heard them. Just put it out of your mind. You know, just by, you know, it's just boom, and it disappears. And a lot of people have similar abilities to reduce certain noises, like if you're sleeping, like living out, not in the country, but woods right behind me, the crickets and all the noises that come out of those woods at night, it just gets louder and louder and louder. I've learned to use it as a relaxing tool to help me relax.
And you know, I've just noticed that if you feel like you have some control over, or could have, like if the neighbor's dog is barking, then you get so irritated by it. But if you say, you know, there's nothing I can do,
Right.
I'm just going to let go of it. And it takes sometimes weeks, but it works in the long run.
Control what you can control. Try not to worry about things you can't control, because you're not going to be able to control them, and it's just like she's just going to eat at you. It's going to eat at you, and that's just going to take that stress level high. You're going to be on that chronic stress level we talked about. You can't sleep, you're this and that. You get madder and madder, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Before you know it, you're popping pills to go to sleep. And you don't want to be in that situation. That's really not where anybody wants to be. Other ways, exercise, move your body. Boom, it's part of this program, right? The 4 cornerstones. Fitness first. I put it right up at the top because I think it's one of the best ways to help calm your body and calm your mind, is making sure you get enough of your daily exercise. Your RDA, recommended daily exercise. And it's different for everybody. You know, I may be able to handle more than other people. Other people can blow right by me with their exercise level if they're able to do. That's what they're used to. That's what they need. I always say, I talk about, it's in the fitness program, start a walking program. It's the best way to get that routine down, that fitness routine down. Walk, walk, walk. Meditate when you walk. Listen to podcasts when you walk. Whatever it is, you can use that time to your advantage. Add strength, endurance, flexibility components as you progress. That's part of the fitness first. We get to in the next round through, we talk about what type of strength program is best for you, what type of stretching is appropriate for you. and if any endurance training is needed for you at your stage in life. These are all things to help manage stress in our body, the physical stress. Get out into nature. Come on, sun and light therapy are tremendous. 10, 15 minutes of sunlight in the morning on your face does wonders for your attitude the rest of the day. Hopefully it's not a rainy day. When it's a rainy day, little fake light, I got a little one, it's about the size of this paper. I sit it above my desk, I sit there and turn it on, it's really bright. Helps keep your clock in line. You don't get that seasonal defective disorder, right? Go put your foot in the ocean, your feet in the ocean, and walk barefoot in the grass. Who doesn't feel super relaxed or laying on a beach in a chair with their feet in the water? It just, it's like, all right, I'm good. I'm no stress at all. Putting your feet in the ocean is tremendous. Whatever, if it's not the ocean, Lake Erie's good too at times. Walk barefoot in the grass. People say, I can't walk. You don't know what's on the grass. That's true, but you can always wash your feet off. You're not standing in a puddle of acid. It's not going to burn a hole in your feet. Grounding yourself to the earth, standing in the grass is biologically good. They've taken measurements and seen the electrical energy in your body decrease when you're grounding yourself to the earth. Get out there, sit on the ground, sit in a chair, put your feet in the grass, and sit there and ground yourself to the earth. The longer, the better. When you're out there catching that morning sunshine, take your shoes off, put them in the grass, sit there and relax, killing two good things at one time. Great ways to help manage stress. Moderate your caffeine sources if it bothers you. Everybody has different response levels to caffeine. Moderate or no alcohol consumption if it affects your sleep cycle, if it affects your health. Learn how to moderate it for your situation. Blue light at night, the computers and all that, they tell you how bad it is, all this blue light. Stop it 2 hours before you go to bed. Unless you're really tired because you had a good workout today, I can close my eyes and just put it down and go to sleep. Not everybody can do that. It stimulates the part of your brain that keeps it active, the blue lights in the computers. There are screensavers and things you can put on your computer to change the hue of the blue